What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and today we are talking about the second book in the Sidekick Squad series, Not Your Villain by C.B. Lee. So this book, this time around, we are focused in on Bells, which was such a cool character in the first book in the series. Like, when we were dealing with Not Your Sidekick, like, we learned a lot of things. There was a lot of plot, there was a lot of things going on, and I will say one of my biggest complaints with Not Your Villain is that the entirety of the first book is summarized in over a third of the beginning of this book. It did take like a third of the book to get through before like any actual new stuff was happening, which was a little bit irritating. But you do get to see that book from Bells' perspective, and you also get to see like what he was doing when he first becomes a hero, because as we learned in Not Your Sidekick, Bells turns out to be a metahuman. He is the one and only chameleon who was a rising star within the League of Heroes. However, because of the events of the first book, now he is one of the most wanted villains. I did like getting to see kind of his beginnings with his power, like him discovering them. He goes to like a summer camp for him. We get to meet like a new character with that as well, who I really enjoyed. But what I also really liked was seeing Bells' beginning and like seeing his identity really blossom and seeing how he becomes the Bells that he is, that we know from the books. I really enjoyed this because, as you'll remember from the first book, Bells is a trans character. I love the way that it's addressed. It's addressed like very like easily, very organically, and in this book you get to see that, you know, he's always kind of known that he was actually a boy. Like, he's dealt with being trans for his entire life, and there are parts in the book later where he addresses this, and he's like, look, I have felt this way, I have felt different like my entire life, my body is not me, which I really enjoyed. But you do also get to see mentions of him doing testosterone shots and his dad being so super supportive with that, everybody around him being so super supportive with that. And it was just really nice to see that in a book. Once we finally get into the meat of the story, basically what's going on is like, since everything like got burned to the ground in the first book, now we're kind of recovering from that. Our kids are going into hiding. The parents are still like looking for ways to take down the League. They don't really want the kids to be involved because, you know, they're in high school, you know, they got other stuff going on. So they go away and our kids are here kind of just figuring stuff out. We do have Bells kind of dealing with the fact that he is in love with his best friend Emma, but then his best friend Emma gets herself a new boyfriend and he doesn't know how to feel about that. And I really liked seeing this. I do know some things about Emma just because I was told about the series from the perspective of the third book, so I wasn't sure like where this was going or how it was going to be handled, but overall I did really like seeing Bells like figuring out his feelings, figuring out his relationship with his friends. He does start to feel like a little bit of a fifth wheel in this as well, but overall I think the journey that he gets to go on was just really cool, and I am very excited to see what's going to happen in the next book. I feel like we're setting up a lot of cool things like plot wise that I'm excited to get into, and I'm also excited to learn a lot more about Emma. She's going to be the focus of that one. She doesn't have any powers, so I'm excited to see where that's going to go. As I said, my big critique with this book is that the beginning of it basically just summarizes everything that happens in the first book, which normally wouldn't bother me, except it literally takes up a third of this book. Like, that's a lot. That is a lot of just retreading like old territory, and there is some new stuff in there, but basically the entire first part of this book, like part one, was just so unnecessary because I was so fresh off reading the first book that I really couldn't get into the story until I got into part two. And because of how certain things were structured in this book, I have a feeling that's going to happen in the next book too. There's a lot of things like omitted with Emma. There's a lot of things omitted with Abby. So I have a feeling if we ever do get to explore her perspective, I know we're going to explore Emma's perspective. That's what's going to happen. We're going to go back and retread that territory. And there are ways that you can do that where you can basically tell one story from so many perspectives. We've seen that like with the Glittering Court and a couple of other things. But when it comes to this, I felt like it was just so much summary, and then I was like waiting to get to the new stuff. Like, I wanted to get into it with Bells. I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to learn more about his character, but we had to like retread all this old stuff, which just kind of irritated me. So I'm giving this book an A-. It did make me kind of enjoy it a little bit less and knock it down a little bit more. But overall, I still think this book was absolutely amazing. Like the stuff that C.B. Lee is doing, like having this transgender main character was so spectacular. Like it just felt so needed, so organic. I really cannot say enough good things about this series and about what C.B. Lee is doing. But I am really excited to get into the next one, and I'm giving this book an A-. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!